lens. Look at the lens. Hey, John. Hey there, John. Hey, John. What's up, everybody? No. Hi. All right. So, here we are again. Hey there, you're back. It's been 190 days since I last uploaded a video, and in the meantime, as you just saw, I have been trying to make new videos, but I never really seem to finish any. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that, and I want to talk about that today. What you saw me say in the intro here a couple times was, hey John, I tried to make like an archive that's just for myself, and that didn't work out. I tried a bunch of concepts and I was getting mad about it, and nothing seemed to work well, and I thought about this a bunch, and 190 days is a pretty long time to not upload anything. So here I am again, and yeah, let's talk about the upload inconsistency. There's various reasons why I think I wasn't able to finish these videos, and I'm not here to justify myself, but let me just state them. My job was really stressing me out, and that has various reasons, which I'm not going to go into. I thought I finished my thesis, but then I didn't. So that came back to bite me in the ass, and I was emotionally very attached to my work. And the last thing is what I want to talk about in this video. School is out for summer, so that's not going to be bothering me for a while. And I also officially have the green light for my thesis. It's done, so I have finished my studies officially, and that's great. But those were personal problems that I was facing. And while I assume many other people are also facing those same problems, they are not what I want to talk about. My goal is not to talk about those kind of problems right now. I want to talk about the emotional attachment. Because emotional attachment kills art. Art is supposed to convey some kind of emotion, right? At least that's what people tend to say. And I'm not an aesthetician, so you can debate me about this one. But I think it's safe to say that there is some kind of emotion involved in the making of art. So why am I saying that emotional attachment kills art? Well, consider the following. Never get too attached to anyone, because attachments leads to expectations, and expectations leads to disappointments. Thanks, swagnotes.tumblr. So obviously, Swagnotes here isn't talking about art necessarily, but he's talking about people and relationships. But I think we can make a rather nice analog between people, relationships, and art. Because as an artist, we seem to treat our art as kind of like a relationship. At least I do. There's ups and downs. There's silly arguments between you and your significant other, in this case art. There's silly voices, huge amounts of time simply lost to the void, sudden bipolar disorders. Wait, those are not normal. Yeah, and emotionally being overly attached. And we all know what it's like to have overly attached people, right? It's getting suddenly really dark in this park. Why am I using this shot anyway? I'm trying to signify a movement, like I'm actually telling a story. And it's way too hot over here. Anyway, Swag notes that attachment leads to expectation, and that expectation leads to disappointment, and disappointment leads to anger, and
anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And suffering is just unnecessary. And yes, it's even unnecessary for artists. Let's take music, for example, because that's what I'm most familiar with, and I think most people are also familiar with. And maybe you want to write a lyric, you want to write a song, and you are very sad at the moment, so you want to write something that is very sad, that just expresses the extreme emotional distress that you are now experiencing, but alas, you are not as good at writing as you want to be, and you cannot make it as sad as you would like the song to be. So, you dislike the song. You dislike yourself. And you might scrap the song. Remember what Swag Notes said about what expectations and disappointments? Yeah, there it is. And you might say, well, if I'm not emotionally attached to it, then my work won't be as good because, well, there will be less emotion in it. And to that I would say, yeah, that could be. But remember that the worst piece of art is the piece that is never shared with anyone. Because what would be the point? So it's infinitely more valuable to be a little less attached, and maybe the work won't be what you want it to be, but you are able to finish it and share it, because there's less pressure, you know? So if you're overthinking things, and if you are overly attached, then you won't be able to finish things, and you won't be able to practice as much. So let me give you another example, and this time it's from real life, and it's from arguably one of the most well-known songwriters in the world. You thought about John Lennon there, did you? Or Ringo Starr maybe, but no, it's Paul McCartney. He wrote a song called Yesterday, and the working title was Scrambled Eggs. Scrambled eggs, have an omelet with some Munster cheese. Put your dishes in the wash bin, please, so I can clean the scrambled eggs. McCartney didn't want to lose his melody that he wrote, so he put some words on it, and that's a clever way to do it. And you can tell that he didn't really care about what words he put on there. He wasn't emotionally invested in it, at least not in the lyrics. He just hammered out some chords and a little bit of a melody, and he put some words on it so he wouldn't forget it. And later on, he made Yesterday out of it, which we all know is one of his most well-known songs. So, you know, being a little bit less emotionally invested might be a good idea. It probably is. That's why I'm making this whole video about it. I'm not saying it's like the Bible. Don't think that what I'm saying is the absolute truth. But just maybe feel a little inspired. This is really hard for my arms, okay? So how can we tell that we are overly attached to our work? Well, first off, we might be putting off working on it. We are procrastinating at that point. Or we might be endlessly tweaking something very minute, some detail work that we are doing that doesn't really matter, and that itself is also procrastinating. We might not finish anything, and we might not show anything to anyone. And we might label our own work as not good enough. And we might be sad or frustrated. I don't think there's anything wrong with sometimes being overly attached to your work. It happens to everyone. It happened to me with my videos. But I think it's good to recognize when it happens and being able to get out of that and get yourself unattached from your creative work. So you might be wondering, how can I detach from my work? And you might also be wondering, why is this guy drinking so much coffee? Well, I got a new espresso machine that you just saw, and it's very nice. 3 things that you can do. There's probably many more things that you can do, but I found 3 things. And the first thing that you can do is to use someone else's work. If you're doing music, you can try to use someone else's lyrics. The words are not yours, so the emotional value in them is not yours. And you can much more easily mess it up. I've given this assignment to some of my students in music, and you know they get very excited about that, and they start making more music. So that's a way to do it.
Another thing you can do is a 20 song game, and obviously I'm a big fan of the 20 song game. If you look at my channel, if you hear me speak about anything, you'll find the 20 song game, because I'm a big fan and it's about 50% of my life right now. So you can try that. You don't have time to attach to your work, so you don't attach to your work. You have to make so much that you can't attach. And you can see what that does for you. You can just see what that practice gives you in your other workflow, not making 20 songs in one go. And the last thing is to accept that what you're doing right now is just necessary to get to the next thing. You need to finish this thing in order to get to the next. It might not be the thing that you want to make. Woo-hoo. Just finish it and get on with it, right? Otherwise you're never going to get practice. Or you're never going to make that one thing, you need to finish it. Also because getting into the practice of never finishing everything, whatever, is just bad. So don't do that. That leads me to pretty much the end of the video. Don't think that being detached from your work makes it so that there's no emotion in your work. It's pretty much impossible to make art with no emotion. That just doesn't work. So try to make something very detached and listen to it later, 2 days later, and see if there's no emotion in there. I'll bet that there is some kind of vibe or emotion going on there, because it's impossible to make any art without emotion. So I think being more detached is a good idea. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. It's cold. So this is obviously a little bit of a different type of video, and tell me if you like it. But I'm just trying a lot of new things. I'm not feeling too emotionally attached about it. There's flies there everywhere. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that the Masters Archive is now online on Spotify, and that my arm is getting really numb, so I'm just going to switch arms on the camera here. And that's exciting. Finally, it's working, so that's really good. Check it out if you want to do that, and let me know if the amount of effort I'm putting into my videos now is apparent, and that you can see that I'm working to make it a little bit better. And it's a small audience, so who cares what I'm doing, right? We can just do whatever. Let's experiment together, okay? So, I'll see you in the next video. As always, you can use everything you see in this video as yours. It's Creative Commons. All the music is by me from the sessions. So if you're interested in what songs there, I'll put them in the description. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. That's the upload schedule, 2 weeks.